Welcome, everybody. I'm glad to see everybody here. I think we'll have some more people coming in. We sent the live stream out as well. Everybody stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Approval of the agenda. There's nothing to change. And so we're going to move to general public comment. Up to a 3-minute time limit per person. Action will not be taken on matters considered during this period until specifically included on an agenda as an action item. Is there anybody for public comment? Okay, seeing no public comment, I'm going to introduce Mason Vale. He is going to give us an update on the mineral withdrawal. He is the Executive Director of the Amargosa Conservancy. Thanks, Mason.
Thanks, Carolyn. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, and thank you for making the time tonight. I feel like I've been here a lot this year. It feels like every couple of weeks I'm back here. But honestly, that's the reason we pulled this together tonight, is to make sure that you all are as up to date as possible on kind of where this issue stands. I mean, it is changing almost by the week, by the day lately. So, a lot has happened even since I was here last, and just want to bring you up to speed on where things stand as we see it. The next slide, please. In case this is your first time meeting me, I'm Mason Vale, Executive Director, Amargosa Conservancy. We're a small nonprofit working here in the Amargosa River watershed. We're in our 20th year of doing work on the river, and I can say this has probably been one of the most interesting in our 20 years. So it's been a real honor to work with the community on some of these issues affecting the groundwater here. All right, so just a rundown of what we're going to cover. I promise I'm not going to be long-winded, as best as I can keep that promise. So we're just going to talk about the status of really just talking about new and proposed mining operations around the town of Amargosa Valley. Use that to then talk about sort of the update for where things stand on the mineral withdrawal effort. And then I'm going to touch really briefly right at the end just about solar energy, because I'm as aware as you all are that that is another transformative force coming here to the Amargosa, and we might see some action happen on that in the near term. So that's a rundown of today's talk. So last time I was here, and I think many of you were probably here as well, was June 20th. That was our town hall event with Rover Critical Minerals. First time the company had come to address the town. If you weren't here, you missed quite a night. It was I've never seen this place more packed. It was honestly for us really encouraging to see the town really turn out, just to become more aware and take advantage of that opportunity to ask this mining company some fair and hard questions about really what they were intending to do out here. And I came away, I don't know about you, kind of with two different sets of feelings. On the one hand, the company was quite honest about a few things. I think they kind of told us who they were in that meeting. I mean, they were very transparent in saying we are an exploratory mining company. Our whole venture in the Amargosa is to come out, conduct 6 years of drilling operations, and we will sell this company to a multinational mining company who will develop it from there. And I mean, that's basically a verbatim quote of what was shared during that evening. So that was all actually refreshingly transparent. They told us that their investment in this community is about skin deep. There was a number of things the mining company communicated that I don't feel were transparent and honest. They were evasive about the depth of drilling, about how many acres they were going to develop, about the specific technology used in that drilling. I mean, I think the community asked all the right questions, and I feel like they didn't come back to us with a lot of good answers. So I think, again, I came away with those two sets of feelings. I feel like, they at least had a chance to hear from you all about your concerns on this. We'll see if they come back to do it again. If they do, I think, it's another opportunity to keep asking those questions. So just want to applaud the community for taking that action that day. And if you didn't see it, there was a story in the Review Journal, Las Vegas Review Journal, about that event. I think covered it really well. And, I think the headline says it all. Yeah, next slide, please. So just want to refresh folks on one thing, talking about kind of new and proposed mining developments. That town hall was coming hot off the heels of us discovering this new claim block staked out here, which we're still ascertaining the real scale of how many claims were staked. We know they were staked in April. We know there could be as many as 400 new claims staked by Rover Metals. Could be as much as 8,000 acres in new claims. So a sizable escalation in their portfolio. We're still keeping tabs on that and waiting for those claims to be registered so that we have a clear sense of how many are out there. Next slide, please. And these are just pictures, again, reminding folks of the proximity of these claims, across the street from people's homes. That was, it remains a very scary thing that this company has continued to stake these claims. Next slide here. This is one by the Long Street. And one thing I want to share is, we have dug deeper into sort of the claims in this area and have discovered it's really not just Rover Metals. We've actually come across other mining companies, one called Marvel Lithium. These are also small companies conducting what we can tell to be a similar operation to Rover. These are exploration companies looking to stake as much public land as they can. Oftentimes they're staking them up against and competing with each other for those claim areas. So we have uncovered just a huge spike in interest in claiming in this area. So it's really concerning, and I think it speaks increasingly to the need for this mineral withdrawal action to hit the pause button and give us a breather from all this interest. This is just I always do this, just an overview of kind of why this is so concerning. It's really all about the groundwater. We continue to look at these maps of how groundwater is moving through the Amargosa, and this new claim block, especially here south of town, this implicates a whole new landscape of Death Valley National Park, the Timbisha Shoshone tribe, who have sovereign lands out there. All of their water is impacted by this development too. So this issue has really caught fire also on the other side of the state line in California. Folks are really, really concerned about impacts of Death Valley from mining here in the Amargosa. We can skip this one, it's just another diagram. So, I shared one thing that I didn't mention was, Rover Critical Minerals had said that they've been investing a ton of money into hydrological research, showing that their project is going to be safe. They didn't present any of that research when they came here on the 20th, and I think all of us, including myself, were disappointed in that. I hope that was an opportunity for us to learn a little bit more about how this company is so confident about the safety of their project. They didn't share that research, and I think there's a good reason for that. I just want to share that in June, our partners, the Nature Conservancy, finalized a hydrological analysis that really looked at what would happen if we permitted an open pit mine over by Ash Meadows. We used the best available science. We used the USGS's flow model that they've developed for this region. That is the tool the Nevada State Engineer uses to assess groundwater pumping applications. So it is the gold standard. And in the interest of transparency, I invite you all, if you want, if you have your phone, you can go on our website. It's posted on our website, amargosaconservancy.org, but everyone uses their phones for everything right now. So we also created a QR code. You can scan that. That'll bring up that full published report. I encourage you to consider reading it. It's not light reading. It's not particularly fun. It's quite technical, but it's really illuminating about the real risk of these kinds of projects. And this is something we've provided to every decision maker in Congress, in the Department of the Interior, so that they have the best information. So that information is all there for you to read, and I encourage you to do it because it really has good, profound impact on this community. Next slide, please. Yesterday, Rover did send out a letter to their shareholders giving them an update on how they're doing. I just pulled a couple of quotes from that, just to sort of show how this company is taking this and communicating to the people that they're investing in their company. They did share some information that was new about this, what they're calling the Long Street Lithium project. That's this new batch of claims they staked in April. That's what they're calling it. We didn't really know what it was, what they were after over there. This communication confirmed they're after lithium over there. They went out last August and did surface sampling. They found some lithium. So that's another lithium project. At least that's what they're telling their shareholders. They also talked about continuing to work on this flow model for their project by Ash Meadows and this project. Again, they haven't published any of those results that I can find yet. And they continue to work on their plan of operations for the review process for that Ash Meadows project. So they have not backed down from that. They have just said they're still working on their surveying and will put that plan together sometime in the next few months. So we're keeping an eye open for that, and we're going to learn a lot about what that plan says. Lastly, just want to flag on that screen, the bottom one, is a community town hall engagement in Amargosa for these projects. They're celebrating that as a real, progress made in this issue. So I just want to share that, they can come here and have that kind of reaction from the community, and they're still going to tell their shareholders that they did a really great job coming out and doing that. So this is very common in the mining industry. They're just trying to tick a box that, these people don't have no understanding of what actually transpired when they come out and do this. So there was another story published in the Review Journal last week about these new claim jumpers. I mentioned Marvel Lithium. The media is paying close attention to all the increased activity out here. You can find that on the Review Journal's website. It does a good job of just saying, look, we're just seeing increased interest in mining here in Nye County. So to pivot now to the push for the mineral withdrawal and where things stand. Just want to remind folks, in case it's the first time you're hearing of it, I just want to clarify what this is. Withdrawal is a process through which a specific defined area of federally owned public lands are either temporarily or permanently withdrawn from new mineral entry. Again, I want to be explicit. This does not apply to valid existing rights or operations. This is only restricting new mining claims from being filed. It's just a pause button. And this is typically done to protect certain values, environmental, cultural, recreational, all of which we have in abundance out here in the Amargosa. So who can do this? Again, there's two paths here. Congress can do it. They can draft a bill. They can pass it. They could say this land is no longer open for new mining. Or the administration has the authority to do this on a temporary basis. They can say, we're going to do a temporary up to 20-year withdrawal. That's a power that the Secretary of the Interior has. And so in terms of these two different paths, we're pursuing the administration's authority on this one. Mostly because we don't like the odds of getting anything through Congress right now. And really what we need is this temporary withdrawal just to catch our breath and talk as a community about the future of this landscape without having to respond to this continued threat of new mining claims out here. This is just a display of the map to remind folks of the area being suggested for consideration here. It contains about 276,000 acres of public land. We worked on this map with the Timbisha-Shoshone, with Beatty, Amargosa Valley. This was approved by all these entities, including Nye County. This is just an area we're saying, hey, look here to consider whether a mineral withdrawal is appropriate. And so we've outlined this area. It contains pretty much the township of Amargosa Valley there, the refuge, and a part of the watershed that we know is so integral to providing groundwater here in Amargosa Valley and over there in Ash Meadows. The week after our town hall here with Rover, Carolyn and I traveled to Washington, D.C. The gentleman on the far right is Jimmy John Thompson. He's a council member for the Timbisha-Shoshone, who's been really a great champion on this issue. We spent 3 days walking Capitol Hill, meeting with pretty much every member of our Nevada congressional delegation, and also with the Department of the Interior. We met with Fish and Wildlife, National Park Service, BLM, and our pitch at that time was saying, look, the community has spoken loud and clear. We've got all the support, all the science, everything's ready to go now. We need the administration to take action on this. In this photo, that's Representative Stephen Horsford. He's in the House of Representatives. This is his district. We had actually a good meeting with the congressman. And what happened next, this next slide please, those Nevada delegates from our federal congressional delegation, so both of our federal senators and 3 of our House members, signed and sent a letter to Secretary Deb Haaland saying, you have to act on this. We are urging you to withdraw these lands from mining to protect the communities here in Amargosa Valley, at Death Valley National Park and Ash Meadows. Next slide. So this is a press release from Catherine Cortez Masto's office. This was a big deal. This was 5 members of our federal congressional delegation saying this has to happen. So this was a huge milestone. We've been pushing on this, for the last year and really working with these offices closely to make sure they understood this couldn't wait. This has got to happen as soon as possible. I just want to share another QR code. This is actually the link to the letter that they wrote and submitted. It's very short, much better reading than the hydro analysis. And I encourage you to read it. It just contains really powerful language about why this has to happen and why it's in the best interest of Nevadans in this part of the country. So that brings us to where are we? What happens next now? It's a complex question. In terms of procedure here, the federal agencies will need to draft and submit a petition to the Secretary of the Interior's office with a recommendation that they want to see that mineral withdrawal process initiated. And so we are led to understand that that is in progress right now. We don't have a specific timeline of when that will be filed, but we're hoping as soon as possible. That will then, if the Secretary of the Interior decides to act on this, she's going to do what's called segregation. Bear with me, I know this is like boring policy stuff, but it's important. Segregation is just the administration saying, all right, we are going to consider this area for a mineral withdrawal. To do that, we are going to hit kind of a 2-year pause button on new mining claims in that area while we go through the environmental review process considering this action. So it's just a 2-year pause button, giving them time to do a full environmental review. And that is the time in which the community can come and provide input. And we hope everyone will, because that will help inform the need for this action, for one, just saying, yeah, we definitely need this to happen, and also give the community a voice in determining, what's the right scale, what do they want the agencies to consider in that process as they consider this action. So we'll be talking a lot about this because this is your opportunity and the town's opportunity to have a say in this. That's what this review process is really for. So that, we hope, is coming. I can tell you pretty confidently that's not going to happen this year. Right now we are just, segregation is the goalpost. Maybe next year we start seeing NEPA happen, and we will do our best as an organization to make you informed of all those opportunities to participate, because it's really, really important. So that's sort of what happens next. All of that depends on the Secretary's willingness to make this happen. So we feel like we've given them all the support they need. If you want to go to the next slide here. Might be asking, well, what can we do right now when we're kind of in this limbo space, waiting for them to make this decision? Continue to attend these town halls. I really recommend that. And raise your voice in this issue at every opportunity. It's important people know that this is what's at stake out here, and that the community is paying attention and supports the need for this pause button to be hit. Contact your representatives and thank them for their leadership. And that includes, Carolyn and Mike and the town board sitting here. Them and the county and of course now our federal delegation has really leapt into action. So it's important to thank them for that, because they don't do that all the time. So if we thank them for that, maybe they continue to do that in terms of what the community is asking for. And then the last thing is, we are doing our absolute best to make you all aware of information as we get it. Like I said, this whole story is unfolding in real time. So the best way to stay in touch and in the know is to follow us on social media. We try to post pretty much every day and updates as we get them. We also have a newsletter that I send in, one email out a month. Here's a rundown of what happened, what we're working on. It's once a month. We also send out a printed newsletter twice a year. We're about to ship out our next one. It's totally free. It shows up at your door. It's just articles and stories about the Amargosa, the work that we're pursuing, and the updates on these issues. So those are ways you can stay involved. And Carolyn and I and Mike will continue to be good resources. If you've got questions about any of this, contact us. And the last slide here is just, forgot. Okay, so pivoting to a separate but related topic. We've obviously been very focused on mining the last year for good reason. It's posing a really acute threat to this community. Meanwhile, there is underway a process through which the BLM will determine what BLM lands in the West are going to be open for potential solar development and which ones will not be. And that's through a large planning process that's been underway for the last few years. The Western Solar Plan. We're told that we could see a draft of that plan sometime in the next month or so. So it could be end of August, early September. It's just what we're hearing. That is going to be really important to look at and see what the future holds for the Amargosa Valley here. And I'll just share that, I'm speaking with Carolyn and Mike and others right now, and all the different partners involved in the work out here, about what we can do at this point to maybe with one loud, clear voice, try to see to it that there is a balanced, considerate approach to developing solar in the desert. Especially places like the Amargosa being so sensitive, with so much to lose. We want to make sure that if solar happens, it happens in the right way, and the community gets some benefit from that, and that we safeguard the most important places like Ash Meadows and Death Valley in that process. So I'll just put, I'm speaking only for myself here, Amargosa Conservancy. Our strong preference is to see that solar is not built on public lands here in Amargosa Valley. We think it's the wrong place for it. We think there are places elsewhere that it would be more appropriate. So that's going to be our position. And we're going to be working on with partners who kind of agree with that to see if we can make a difference in the next couple months. So that is too short of a rundown. The topic deserves a lot more time and space. I promise to come back in the coming months with more of a full description, and we can have a full discussion about solar, because it's a thorny topic. I understand that, and I want to hear your thoughts as a community too on really where you're landing on this issue, because I don't have to tell you, the Amargosa Valley is right in the dead center of all of this focus. So we're here to be a partner and a resource, and I want to hear your thoughts as well in the future. So last slide is just my contact information, our website. That's my personal email address. Send me an email. Okay, if you have any questions about any of this, I want to make sure you've got the information you need. So don't be shy about reaching out. And I'm happy to take some questions, Carolyn, or I don't know what you have planned next.
Thank you, Mason. And thank you for putting that awful photo in the, just so everybody knows, it was 100 degrees, 98% humidity, and we had to walk that day.
That's
so just saying.
It was rough. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to open this up for question and comment, and I see our Nick Pay. He is here from the BLM. Nick, would you like to come on up and give us what you can as an update? Would you like to? Well, you're gonna do it anyway, or you wouldn't be here for me. Thank you.
I'll do it just because I like you. Nick Pay, I'm the field manager for the Brumfield office, so I manage this part. I know many of you guys. It's nice to see different faces. Unfortunately, I don't really have a lot of updates for you. I know everybody's been anticipating this plan of development from Rover. We still do not have an amended copy. I know that a lot of the special interest groups I get weekly emails from, whether or not we got it, we keep hearing the same thing that their shareholders are hearing. In fact, I subscribe to their shareholder email list just so that I actually get information, because they don't share it with me either. So as soon as that gets out, and as soon as we get a copy of that, then we'll make sure that we share that appropriately. But I will tell you right now, I still don't have anything. One of the other things that I wanted to kind of touch on is mining claims are kind of a weird thing. They're kind of a three-step process. So first of all, you stake them, but then you also have to file paperwork with both the state office, for BLM state office, and with the county. So there's two places you have to do posts. Something that I learned recently, so we normally, as a field office, I normally don't have any involvement with mining claims. That's all done at our state office, and it kind of just sits there until claimants decide that they want to do something with it, and then I get involved. As far as I'm aware, Rover has not filed that claims with the state office for those Long Street claims. We've been waiting for them to get posted. As far as I'm aware, and granted, I have been out of my office for about 2 weeks, so I have not checked with them recently, but the last I had heard, they had still not filed those claims. So they may be posted on the ground, but that's at this point all they are, until they're actually filed with the proper paperwork at the state office and at the county. And those are available for anybody that wants to go see them. The Nye County Register's office is the one that's in charge of doing that. So if you want to see those claims, then all you have to do is go and ask. Nye County is actually really good about getting them posted on their webpage too. So that's all public information. Other than that, like I said, not a lot of update. There is a pretty big push from the administration to get the movement moving with this request for the withdrawal, which we are actively working on. I had a call earlier today with several of our partners on the federal side to figure out who's sending in what and when we can anticipate that. And like Mason said, it's kind of a two-step process. This first batch is going to go through and request that segregation, which will give us 2 years to consider whether that withdrawal needs to be made permanent. Well, as permanent as we can make it as an agency. Anything more than 20 years, we do have the option to renew it at 20 years, but we end up in that cycle. And then we're kind of at the mercy of whatever administration is in place when that 20 years comes up. So the other option is congressional, and I know that there's some movement on that as well, but this will at least give us some breathing room. Super excited to be able to see where this goes, but yeah, that's all I have. Sorry, it's not a lot of updates, but not bad updates either.
Maybe next week the updates will be there. Anybody have any questions for Nick? Thank you, Nick. You're a brave soul. Okay, I'm going to open this up for comments. Anybody? Do you have any questions that you feel haven't been answered? Tanya. Please state and spell your last name.
Hi, my name is Dawn, D-A-W-N, last name Duncan, D-U-N-C-A-N. I'm a longtime resident of Nye County and based in 230. Thank you, and thank you guys. Thank you everybody actually for being here and supporting this issue. It is very, very serious. I recently took a passenger van, a 15-person passenger van, to the Silver Peak lithium mine up there, and I'm going to tell you something devastating. There's not one single living thing, no animal, no birds, no anything. Out of all the green energy projects that are trying to move into our state, the lithium mining uses the most water of all. The leach fields in Silver Peak are so deep with the water that when the wind blows, there's white caps. It covers thousands and thousands of acres, and this drying process that these fields go through is 0 to 18 months long. During these drying process, these chemicals that they're using in the water, when it's drying, are airborne, and they're known to cause cancer. I've done a deep dive into this. Over the last year, I've been involved with Mason, Patrick Donnelly, some other folks that are in the valley that support this no lithium projects. And if you think that you have problems with your water and your well depth now, just wait till these guys move into town. They're not going to pay for your mines to be deepened, and they are not going to support anybody in this valley that comes up against them. Another thing that's really important is these companies that are down here are from a foreign country. They're from Canada, and the way they ingratiate their self into the valley is they give their self a name that Americans like TLC, Tonopah Lithium Corporation, or American Lithium Corporation. They are not interested in being your friend here. They're here to take all your minerals and destroy this valley. And they will do that, and they will be successful if we do not stay banded together. It is very, very urgent. And if you want to see the kind of devastation that these companies do, I highly suggest that you go up to Silver Peak, Nevada, where you can see exactly how far-reaching these effects are. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dawn.
I'm just going to leave this little ring button on.
This is Erica Yearling. She's the chair from the Beatty Town Board.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Well, I don't have much to report, but I did want to publicly thank Carolyn and Mason for the work that they did in DC. They did an amazing job, and I know it's not easy to be in front of all those highfalutin people, but you guys did good, and you got a good result, and that's what really matters. And I will say that the Beatty Town Advisory Board, I'm going to have an item, the same type of letter that you sent back. So we're still fully supportive of you going forward. And we have been in that solar fight for a long time. And if you want to, we'll get on board with you, you get on board with us, and get on the road with the BAND, Baby Amargosa, nature's destination. All right.
Thank you, Erica. Anybody else that would like to speak? Judy.
Hi, my name is Judy Faber, F-A-B-E-R, and we did an interview with Channel 13 just a day or two ago, and we also mentioned, besides the water, we mentioned ash meadows, and the pupfish is one thing, all the animals, plus the history, Longstreet, and everything else that goes with it. And out here, for us, our animals, our history. So there's a lot more to it besides water. I mean, water is really important. We can't live without it. But neither can the animals or anything else survive without it. So we brought that up. So I'm hoping that makes a difference. I also said the people that are signing all these papers saying, oh yeah, we can, let lithium be in Amargosa, they ought to come out here. They need to see what's going on. We're a community. We're not just a rinky-dink town, and we will fight. So, just wanted you to know.
Thank you, Judy. Please state
My
and
name is
spell
Mark.
your last name.
My name is Mark Rue, and I'm a resident here in Amargosa.
Spell your last name for the record, please.
Excuse me?
Spell your name for the record.
My name is Mark Rue.
Last name, spell your last name. R-U.
R-O-U-X.
Okay, thank you.
I'm a voter and a longtime resident. You know that lithium mines are aquifer killers. It takes 100,000 gallons of water to process 1 ton of ore in many cases. And if they have to do open pit mining, they have to transfer that ore to a processing plant where it will take a tremendous amount of water. I love our valley. I love our valley. I love agriculture. I also love the people here. This is like the greatest place I've ever been. You know, we got Pahrump, we got Vegas, we got a mixture of all kinds of great things. But we can't turn this into a lithium mine. It will destroy the valley and the aquifer. And that is a hard fact. It takes 100,000 gallons of water per ton. You know what a ton is of dirt? I was in construction for 40 years. 1 scoop of a big bucket of a front-end loader, that's 1 ton of dirt. Imagine 100,000 gallons to process that, because in the end, that's how much water it takes. It's an aquifer killer. It's totally ridiculous. And it is totally unsustainable. And it will kill the sustainability of this valley forever.
Thank you,
Let's
Mark.
have more farms.
Thank you.
Colette Johnson, Johnsson. As I mentioned last time that we had a meeting, well, one thing that a lot of people are forgetting is that the proposed mining is dry, which doesn't use as much water, but still, lithium by itself, if it gets into our aquifer, means everybody's being medicated and not being monitored. You know, we're talking, one of my friends was put on lithium for a medical condition, and she wasn't monitored, and she almost died. So if the lithium itself being mined gets released and somehow gets into that aquifer, every single one of us will be medicated and not monitored for it. And the dry mining, they still don't even know what chemicals they're going to use to take the lithium out of the soil when they remove it from our land. And then they're going to bring it back to us. And we've, historically, the money that is set aside to reestablish the nature, you know, the natural habitat after a mine is finished is not used, at least not used for that purpose. It isn't successful. It's a good idea, but it's not a proven plan. So no matter what, the risks are too high. You know, yeah, sure, it's not a brine operation, so it's not going to necessarily use that 100,000 per ton, but the other poisons, the risk of another borehole springs if their technology on these sonic drills fails, you know? Oh gee, it's supposed to stop if it senses water. Well, what happens if it fails? And it keeps going, busts through our aquifer, and creates, you know, Death Valley out of Ash Meadows. The risks are too high. We have to fight the big fight, the good fight. You know, it's important to everyone here because this will be a ghost town. Because it will be, not because industry runs out or whatever, but because it'll be poison. No one will be able to live here. Thanks.
Thank you, Colette. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, I'm going to close that and open it up for board member comments. This is, well, I'm going to say something because the board member comments isn't for this. Okay, lithium is basically the destruction of our land, the death of the Amargosa, which means the death of Death Valley, our national park, Ash Meadows, our existence, and that will also stretch as far as Indian Springs. I mean, it's going to destroy the Amargosa. Toxic pollution, medical, terminal illnesses, you name it. This is not a fight that we can lose. There's just no option. We have to win. And we have Canadian companies, as Don said, that do not care. They have said to our faces, we're going to do this anyway. We've got the mining laws behind us, and we're going to do this anyway. We don't care. So we do have, I feel, on the legislative end, a lot of power, a lot of push, and a lot of support. So the segregation is great, but I think ultimately I think this will go the legislative route as well and be a permanent withdrawal because that's what we deserve and we demand. This land is our land, right? It's BLM, it's our land, it's people's land. And so we have a say, and we also have a say as to how we have to put up with what we live. Amargosa's had downwinders. We've had everything thrown at us. We've got U.S. Ecology, Yucca Mountain, you name it. We've got it. This is just, as I said to them, did anybody look at the map and think anybody lived here? Anybody that lived here that cared about their town or their area? Now they're finding out that people do care, and we're fearless. So we can't let the fact that, I mean, that we were in Washington, these highfalutin looty-tooties, they didn't mean squat. We went in, we wanted their attention, we got their attention, and we don't, when I say, oh, I live in Amargosa now, people that read the paper, oh, okay. They know where we are, and they know that we're fighters. We've got Beatty, we've been working with Beatty, Even Pahrump, they want to send everything to us, but this is just not an option. But I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. And if there's anybody else wants to speak on this, because it's not in board member comments. Mike?
Okay, part of what we've been doing with this lithium mine, with some of the information we've got from some of our local mining partners, is that it is a relatively low grade, irregardless of what they say on their deal, it is truly a low grade type of lithium. There is not a lot of it there. It would take a lot of it to make the thing productive. There is so many lithium projects just between here and Tonopah. Part of our deal is that they don't need to be here. Young lady just talked about the one up in Silver Peak. I think they use Clayton Valley is where their leach fields are at. If you Google Clayton Valley, you will see what she is talking about. And there is one of those coming in less than 90 miles away from here. North of 80 at the north end of Sacrobatus Flats is a project called Bonnie Claire. Supposedly they claim they have the third largest deposit in the world. They bought 1,800 acres, and just real quickly, the way this brine solution works, now these guys are supposed to be, I think, hard rock mines, but they're going to scrape it out. But those brine solution deals, they take a 320-foot diameter circle. They drill about 23 different holes down to 2,300 to 2,500 feet. Then they come in from the side and with a little more of a horizontal deal, and they pump a brine solution, God knows where they get that, pump it into the bottom, and then push this solution out the top of these holes, and then just cover the space and let it sit for however long it takes. They try and tell us that our water stops at Beatty. I'm sure our water comes from north of that. And the gentleman that said how much water it takes, that is exactly how much water it takes. We have talked with the hydrologist at Death Valley Park, and they filed a complaint, tried to get the thing stopped for the water, but somehow this company, this Bonnie Claire deal, has enough water or has enough pull to make that thing go. So we are surrounded by that stuff now. We will literally turn into a ghost town if they are allowed to proceed, because believe me, they do not give a flying rip about us. When we first met the guy in the blue suit and the white shoes at a BLM presentation in Las Vegas, he said if they were successful, they would strip mine from the north end of Ash Meadows all the way to 95. And I don't know how many of you have been out there. If you go out on East Anvil and you go past the Anvil substation, there's little valleys and one thing and another, and you can see for a long ways, and they would destroy that. Another big fear of ours is when it comes to the reclamation project. According to these guys, their window is only 3 to 5 years in their plan of development. You don't replace this desert in that time. It's taken Mother Nature how many thousands of years to get us what we got. So they are not going to reclaim it in 3 to 5 years. It will be a dust bowl. And why it is so important that we stop them before they put those boreholes in the ground is they have open, and this is in their plan of development, they have open pits, 30 feet wide, 60 feet long, 30 feet deep, that they're going to dump stuff in. And they claim they're going to reclaim that. You know, we have got 3 reclamation projects in our town. One of them been going since the 60s, and not a damn thing has happened. At ABC Mill site, not one damn thing has happened. The dairy put some compost down there that they were supposed to plant some trees. That is what's left of it. The rest of it has blown out. You see no progress down there at all. The settling ponds are still at the back. This mess out on Cook Road, remember that from about 2015, 2016, when we had the guys dumping cooking oil coming out of Vegas on that place and dumping it within the palm tree fronds? That was declared a nuisance by Nye County. Citations or whatever were issued to the sheriff, And that stuff is still down there. Those palm tree funds do not deteriorate. The ground is still brown from when they dumped that cooking oil out there. And we finally were able to get it stopped. But then we got the other one sitting right over here on School Road. Any of you ever driven down School Road, and about halfway on the right, if you look over there, you'll see a little stainless steel fence over there. That was the Park Service came out a number of years ago and thought they would be able to put a little area there where they could propagate desert plants and then replant those in the rest of the area. I'll guarantee you there's $500,000 in that thing with the number of vehicles and people they had out there and studies and all this hooey going on, and it is still there today. Not one damn thing has happened. So whatever we are at the very bottom of the rung here, we are pushing every button we can. We need all your support, or we're just going to dry up and go away. This BS that they put out there about green energy and stuff, about jobs, there are no jobs in green energy. There's not one damn permanent job. Property taxes are abated. Don't think for 1 second the government is looking out for us. The only people you have looking out for you is these two young men here and us. That's it. And we don't go very far up the ladder. But we are trying, working closely with Beatty, we are pushing every button we can. So when we call on you to do something, or you see something going on see something, say something, call us. We understand there's these new claims out there. We haven't found them yet. The ones that were mentioned, and Jimmy, I think, has got some out by his place from a company that we did some research on, and they were a wind company, I think. So there's a lot of stuff going on out here. So please stay involved, inform us what's going on, then we can start pushing it up the ladder. But it's going to get real, if we're able to survive, it's going to be tough to do. And don't hesitate to stop in the office. I've got a presentation goes a lot longer and gets a lot more expletive if you'd like to hear it.
Oh, he sure does. Thank you, Mike. Sarah, anything?
I just want to reiterate that I'm very thankful for you guys taking the time and the energy to do all this. And Mason and Carolyn going to Washington and taking your time and getting up there and speaking your mind. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Brenda?
I would just like to thank Nick and Mason for having our back. We appreciate it. For having our back as far as being on site with all this stuff. They have helped us immensely. So thank you.
Okay. Board member comments. Now this item is limited to announcements and topics proposed for future workshops and agendas. Brenda?
We still need to do a capital projects workshop. I'd like to do that.
Okay. Sarah, anything?
I don't have anything at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Mike?
Not as it's stated. I got other comments, but I can't go there.
Good. You're welcome, everybody. Okay. So I just found out about, and I'm going to go to Beatty and Pahrump. I'm going to show this to the commissioners. There's a company called Community Wellness that I found out about it if you're in the hospital, but it goes with everybody here. If you don't have a primary care, they can step in, be a primary care. It's all virtual. They will help you with your primary care. But anyway, I'm going to have a presentation on it, bring it to Beatty, because we've had problems with having a provider at our health clinic, and they will handle with your primary care. They will do virtual visits with a doctor, which I think many of us are doing already. They take all insurance with exception of VA, because VA takes care of their own, and TRICARE. But Medicare, Medicaid, and all of the United Healthcare, Aetna, all of them. it's really encouraging. I'm trying it out for 30 days. So I will report back how it goes. And they will call once a week. The nurse will call once a week. I'm having a virtual doctor's appointment. And they work with your doctor. If there's a problem with medications, they will work with the doctor if you can't get through, because unfortunately in our healthcare system right now, people are falling through the cracks. Doctors are leaving, a lot of nurse practitioners, and we've seen it here. We can't find anybody to stay. And when we do get somebody that we like, they leave. So I don't know what you guys are doing, but you're doing it. No. Anyway. But this is a really promising program, I think. So like I said, I'm going to try it out, and it doesn't cost you anything, by the way. It's free. So I will get back with you. I'm going to have some cards. If you have any questions, I'll leave stuff with the office, and we'll send stuff out by email so you can read it and get kind of acquainted with it. It's kind of exciting because it's something that if you're in the hospital, they offer to you. Because as you know, if you're in the hospital, you have to go back to the doctor within 3 to 5 days. And most of the time you can't get into your own doctor because that's too quick and whatever. So we need something that protects us a little bit more. The rurals need this. And so I will present it to Erica and Carrie. I think it's real promising, and it doesn't cost you a doggone thing. All right, and that's it for me. So I'm going to call for adjournment. If anybody's, opposed, let me know. Thank you very much. I appreciate you.
So sometime, I'm not going to do